So what I need to do now is create a new event handler, this time on the box that my user is going to be typing in. Now when you look over at the list of events, click is the one that we've most commonly used. But for this, I need to scroll down, and I find two new events, key down and key up. Now what's the difference between these two? Key down occurs anytime a user presses any key. Key up occurs whenever they let go of it. Now for normal numbers and letters, you don't really care when the button goes down or up, but if you're using Shift, Control, Alt, or any of those modifier keys in your application, you might be a little more concerned. I can use whichever one I like here. I'm going to use key down. I'm going to type a handler name here. User pressed a key. Now, the name that I use here can be whatever I really want it to be. We haven't discussed this too much, but as long as it's a valid method name in C#, we can put whatever we want. A valid method name, pretty much the only restriction is it can use any letters and numbers, but it can't have any spaces in it. So now, the user pressed a key, we need to go ahead and add the code. Now if we used check word every time the user pressed a key, the first time they pressed a letter to start their word, it would immediately think that was the entire word and check it. That's not what we want. We want to wait specifically for when the user presses the enter key and then check the word. How do we do that? Well, let's take a look at the arguments that are passed when a user presses a key. When the user uses the mouse, we get a set of routed event args. When the user presses a key, we get an object and some key event args. The specific arguments that are passed is based on which event is associated with the event handler. Routed event args are usually present for mouse-related events, and key event args are for keyboard-related events. So now I can type an if clause, and using parentheses, I'm going to specify under what conditions do I want the code here to be executed. Now the argument for the key event is E, so I'm going to type E dot. A list of different fields on my key event args are listed, including is the button down, what are the key states, what's the original source, and so on, but key is a particular field I want. Since it happens to be highlighted for me, I can just press it, but if it wasn't highlighted, I could just start typing the letters until it was selected for me. Now I want to know if the key is equal to the enter key. In C#, you use a double equal symbol to indicate equality. Now, after I type the equality, my IntelliSense is coming up to help me again. The .NET type of E.key is a System Windows input key. Now, you don't need to remember that because you notice as soon as I hit space, it found that field for me automatically. So I can just press Enter and push the dot key. Now the list of all the keys is shown for me. Enter is selected for me, but if it wasn't selected, I could just start typing it, and as soon as I got enough of it, pressed enter. Now I'm going to use curly braces to indicate that this code should only be called if the key that was pressed is the enter key. Just like we said before, now when the key is enter, we want to do this .mygame.checkWord. So now let's switch back to Blend, run our application, start the game, and type a word. Now when I press enter, all the code that happened when I pressed the button happens for me immediately. So this is starting to look pretty good. We've actually got a game, we've got a timer. Okay, the timer doesn't look real great because it's showing a floating point number. We'll fix that in a few minutes. But there's one thing this application is missing. It's missing some sound. We've got a quiet application here that the user can press and type whatever they want, but there's no audio feedback. Let's look at how we get that associated next.